Hello, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to another edition of Can of Corn. I'm Baseball Bill. That's, as he says, your big homie, Big Dave. I cannot wait to get into it. The topics that we have today are it'll be like one of those mind-blowing things. Dave, you know what I mean? Mind-blowing.
Yeah, just, just the human cranium cannot contain itself.
No, not in the least. And so those of you listening to this or watching it, you got three places in which you can watch it. One, you can watch it on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you know right now that Dave and I have faces for radio. But number two, you can watch it in the locker room, right? $25. You get a 10% discount code when you use the code. What's our code, Dave?
Big Dave, all
Big Dave.
caps, BIGDAVE.
DAVE. That's right. You get all kinds of fun stuff in there. I'm telling you, it's awesome. That being said, you can also listen to it just on the audio. And so if you're listening to it on the audio, go over to YouTube. As Dave says, smash that subscribe button, take a listen, follow us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We'll take it from there. So, Dave, how are you doing, my friend? You ready to go?
I am ready to go, and life as an Astros fan is a treacherous place to be right now. So you can't get too comfy. But yeah, we're here for the push run into the trade season and the All-Star game. So doing okay
Love it.
for now.
Love it.
For now.
Okay.
For
So,
now.
Dave, so you, so for those of you listening to this, you have to understand Dave and I have become tight, kind of like family now. Um, and I gotta tell you, uh, Dave was giving me a hard time. I'm out going on a little stroll, and Dave always gives me a hard time because my little strolls are, they're not that much for me. But I send Dave a text message. He says, "You didn't have to mention that twice in one sentence." Well, now forget that. We're going to talk about the wild, wild, wild National League wild card. Dave, I got it on account. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I'm sorry, six, seven, eight, nine teams, nine times, like Ferris Bueller, are within a game and a half of the wild card. Talk to me, Big D.
Hey, look, since Grimace came out and threw a pitch for the Mets have went on an immaculate run. So shout out to the big purple homie for turning things around there. But yeah, man, the NL wild card seems to be must watch TV going down to the wire. Um, there's there's a plethora of good teams right now in the National League. Watching a lot of National League ball because the Astros have not been giving me much to watch lately, but I digress. You've got your guys that are running away with divisions there, the Phils, the Dodgers. But the Braves with all the injuries, they've still managed to keep themselves in position. Whether or not they'll have the depth to make a good run you're going to face in the NL playoffs is going to be top notch. I mean, it's going to be a top shelf opponent. I'm getting choked up because of all the attention to the National League here. But you know what? Don't sleep on your Padres. Your second favorite team there in Southern California, there, Bill. Uh,
Mm,
Mookie going down, it creates more of a conundrum in an already weird infield for y'all. I mean, you got Muncy, you've got now Mookie's down, and Gavin Lux forgot how to baseball. So I mean, don't get too comfy there in the ravine. And talk about blast from the past. The Cardinals are playing like they're in the NL Central all of a sudden. I can't name three players on the roster, to be honest. Don't at me, Cardinal fans. It's still a lot of animosity from the old NL days, but these kids are playing. And then how about the Nationals? You know, I couldn't even tell you. But yeah, it's gonna get good. It's gonna be a tight race. Um, and the American League is not. I mean, it's kind of gonna set itself out. So, um, you're fighting for three spots, and like you said, there's probably about 9 teams right now that would consider themselves a contender. Um,
So
if I had to pick right now, don't sleep on the Diamondbacks. The kids proved it last year that they can turn it on, quick, fast, in a hurry. They play good ball. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of athletic players down there. The Mets, we've talked about it several times during the season that this Mets team is not bad, and when you've got parts that come together and just play consistent baseball, which has been lacking for my team lately. It's easy to put win streaks together. And this is the part of the season going into the All-Star break and the trade deadline where you've got to get your ducks in a row. Speaking of my Astros, right now we're 10 games out of first place and 7.5 games out of the wild card race. And we've got probably 6 weeks until the All-Star break and the deadline there. So you've got to get it going. So I'm interested to see what comes out of the National League, if the Pods can make a move and make all my favorite Dodger fans sweat over there, or who pulls out and wins the Central. Do the Brewers hold on? So I'm not sure.
so
It's gonna
so
be fun.
here's what I think is interesting, Dave. So if the season ends today, and you wouldn't ever end with somebody missing it by a half game, but the season ends today, the Braves got the top wild card spot, right? So it'll be the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Phillies, and then the Braves get the top wild card spot, and then the Cardinals and the Washington Nationals would tie for that number two spot, and I think the Cardinals have the advantage on the head to head.
They
The
do.
Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Pirates would all miss it by a half a game. The Cubs and the Giants would miss it by a game, and the Cincinnati Reds would miss it by a game and a half. Are you kidding me?
So basically, if you're not in Colorado or Miami, you have a shot, is
That's
what you're telling me.
that's that's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to at those people, but yep, that's exactly.
No, subtlety is not one of my better qualities, and I just dawned on me that okay, oh yes, okay, well wait, that's 13 teams. Okay, well yeah, so Rockies fans and Marlins fans, you live in two gorgeous places. I'm sure there's still some snow on the ground somewhere in Colorado. Go skiing. If you're in Miami, you're in Miami. Do you really even care about baseball? Just saying. So
Benvenitos
there
on
you go.
Miami, right?
Yeah, I mean, a bad day in Miami is pretty much probably better than a good day anywhere else,
There you
except
go.
here at Top Fan Rivalry.
Except here. All right. So question numero dos. That's number two in Spanish. Question number Dave, did you ever see Caddyshack 2?
Yes.
You remember when Chevy Chase is trying? This just reminded me of this. Chevy Chase is trying to sell the Caddyshack. And he says, "Well, how much is it going to cost?" And he says, "Well, it's going to cost you some mucho dinero." And then he stops and thinks. He says, "And probably some American money too."
And probably some American money too.
Oh, top fan rivalry followers, you never know what you're going to get with can of corn. Thank you for being here. Okay, number two question, Dave. Elly De La Cruz. Um, at the at the time of recording, he has 13 home runs and 37 stolen bases. Is he a 40-40 guy?
Okay. God, this is a tough question. Before the season, I would have said yes. He hasn't had the pop necessarily. 13 at this point. You would put him right at about 18 or so at the break. I mean, so it would be tough. The stolen bases, without a doubt. I mean, he's probably going to put up 80 to 90. I mean, I don't think that's going to be the hard part. But lately here, even with the Reds not winning games, the other day he went 2 for 3. It stole a base off of a pickoff attempt. Just
Stole two
just
bases off
casual.
of a pickoff
Yeah,
attempt.
yeah. I'm sorry. Stole went from second to home on a pickoff attempt and made it look easy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think he might come up just short. It wouldn't surprise me if he's like a 38-40 guy, a 38-70 guy. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
I would like him to really push to get that record of Ricky Henderson. You know, shout out to Ricky. You know what I loved about Ricky? Ricky talked in the third person, so it was always, you know, Ricky
Ricky is about
Henderson has
Ricky.
arrived. Yeah, yeah. He told Will Clark one time, "Ricky gone, Ricky gone." So
So, so you'll appreciate this. Have you ever stood next to or have you ever met Ricky in person?
no,
Okay, so there's a place called San Mateo. It's a little small town. So you have San Francisco, then you have what they call South San Francisco, which is actually a town. And then you have San Mateo. And San Mateo is a gorgeous little town. There's a restaurant there that I'll take you to if we ever get up there. They got some of the best pasta. So I'm walking down the street with a good friend of mine named Frank, who grew up in the shadows of Yankee Stadium. Puerto Rican guy, a few years older than me, ran on the field when Chris Chambliss hit the home run in '77, and put the Yankees in the playoffs for the first time in a bunch of years. Anyways, we're walking down the street and we see this little guy that is my height, Dave. In fact, I think I'm probably about a half an inch taller than Ricky. Okay, and I'm 5'7" and a half, 5'8" on a good day. Just walking down the street, and my friend Frank notices him. He looks at me and goes, "Hey, hey, Bill." I said, "What's up, Frankie?" He says, "That's Ricky Henderson." I said, "That's not Ricky. That's Ricky Henderson." And Frank goes, "Ricky." And Ricky turns and goes, "Yeah, what's up?" And he goes over and he goes, "I just want to shake your hand. I don't want to bother you. I just want to shake your hand." And Ricky's like, "Yeah, sure, come on." So he shook his hand. And Frank's like, I know what it's like for people to hound you for autographs and things like that. There's a bunch of people on the street too, so we wanted to make sure that he just had his own time. Nicest, sweetest guy in the world. But he was there because they were dedicating the field and making a Ricky Henderson field. And
nice.
so, but you wouldn't expect slacks, nice button-down shirt. You,
I bet one of his thighs was as big as your waist, though.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Built
yeah.
like a thoroughbred, you know.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
he still did, and this is 2009. He
yeah.
still did
You
it.
know what? We need to get the tape out and see who had the bigger thighs, Ricky Henderson or Tim Raines, because both those guys were built like dump trucks. You know.
Well, okay, but you take both of their thighs together, you tape them together, and you're still not as big as Bo Jackson.
No, no, because Bo knows. Okay.
But Bo, as you would say, Bo's the big homie, right? I mean, this
Yeah,
guy,
Bo's the big homie. My big homie from Auburn, country boy. Talk about country strong.
yeah,
Look, for you kids out there, okay? Bo Jackson ain't a myth. It's not a debate like the whole LeBron, um, Michael Jordan thing. Bo Jackson was the truth. Go Google it, okay?
yeah. Watch him
First
climb
at
a
bat.
wall.
Yeah, no, he walked up a wall. Like, football, baseball, he could do anything. He was good at anything he did. Okay. And if you don't believe me, ask Brian Bosworth, because the Boz had his own persona. And when the Boz went head to head with Bo, Bo won.
Yep.
And nobody ever heard from Boz ever again. Except
Nope.
for Stone Cold, the movie Stone Cold. I love that movie. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
No.
like TopFanRivalry.com. Go on over while you're watching Stone Cold. Slide on over to TopFanRivalry.com. Mash that subscribe button, okay? All right. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up on the old can of corn show, okay?
Give us a thumbs
Appreciate
up.
it.
Exactly. So yeah. So anyways, we digress. Listen, Dave and I are about the same age. We can talk baseball. That's why we do this show. Um, you know, Dave and I digress. Ricky Henderson was an incredibly nice guy, though. He was a very good dude. And I would have asked him for his autograph. I would have tried to get a picture with him, but Frank, having grown up in New York City and having seen a lot of these guys, and Frank used to tell me, he says, "Bill, there's a handball court like a block away from," and I may have told you this already, but a block away from the stadium, Yankee Stadium. And he says Yogi Berra would go out there about noon in the summertime when the kids were out of school and be sitting on a freaking on a whatever you call it, a cooler, and just be cracking beers. And the cops would say, "Yo, you can't be drinking beer out here." And he's just passing out free tickets to the stadium to all the kids. And nobody ever asked him for his autograph or got a picture with him or anything like that. because they recognize the fact that, whatever. But that being said, Elly De La Cruz. Okay, Dave, final question before we go off the record.
Hold on, no,
Uh,
man, because you gotta. I mean, you can't let me not talk about the greatness that is Yogi Berra. We're bringing up
okay,
Yogi,
go ahead.
okay?
Hit
Yeah,
it up.
and heavens knows, I am nowhere near a Yankee fan, but you gotta love Yogi, okay? If you ain't watched the documentary, go watch it. It's phenomenal, and he will tell you to this day, if whenever you see Yogi again in the great beyond, he's gonna tell you that Jackie was out.
Yeah. And I can see what he would say, but he tagged him high. If he doesn't, if he doesn't tag him high, if he tags him down by his feet, he's 100%. But of course, we don't have the camera angles that we do today. The umpire was in a bad position. I can make the argument that he was out or safe. And remember, I'm a Dodger fan. Just as
Yeah,
much as, just as much as on Tuesday, Teoscar Hernandez swung.
he
Even
swung.
though they said he didn't swing, and then the next pitch
Yeah,
he goes Jimmy
oh,
Jack for 3 runs. I
yeah.
mean,
A walk off, Jimmy Jack.
walk off
Right?
Jimmy
That was
Jack.
the last at bat, right? I mean, it was a walk off.
Well, no, the Dodgers weren't at home.
Ah, my bad. Okay, well, it was the go ahead.
Yeah, it was the
What
go
turned
ahead.
into the be the winning Jimmy Jack. Yeah.
And the right fielder about lost his crap, and he
Oh
should have,
yeah. I mean, it was still over his head. It hadn't cleared the fence yet, and you could just see that he was going ballistic.
as he should,
Um,
as he
Yeah,
should.
no, yeah.
Listen,
The
Dodger
skipper,
fan,
the
he
Rocky
swung.
skipper came out and was given that first base ump, the third degree. And to me, the ump looked like he knew he blew that call. Okay.
Bingo.
But you gotta love a skipper that gets up and fights for his team. Side note, I know I've been on Joe Espada's butt for not having a backbone, but the other day, Jose Altuve got rung up on an absurd pitch, and then the following half an inning, our pitcher was getting hosed on a strike zone, and Altuve was chirping, and the chief got after him, and Espada came out and fired up and got thrown out of the game, and we still lost to the White Sox. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
go ahead, go,
Hey,
go ahead.
but at least he did. All right. So, final question before we go off the record, Dave. Uh, are we going to see any pitchers win 20 this season? Now, keep in mind, Seth Lugo and Ranger Suarez both have 10 wins. At the time of recording, they both have 10 wins. And remember, we still have about 90 games for each of those teams, 90 to 95 games left, which means that each one of them probably have, I don't know, 12, 14 more starts. Do we see either of
Um,
them or anybody else? There's 3 guys with 9 wins. Do we see
I
anybody
wouldn't,
going 20 wins?
I wouldn't be surprised. Chris Sale has
Uh,
been drinking the Kool-Aid right now.
sir, yes, sir.
Over in Atlanta. So I definitely wouldn't see that. Wouldn't surprise me. Heck, there's 2 guys in pinstripes right now. Luis Gil and Carlos Rodon. They both got 9 wins, and they're just getting Garrett Cole back. So that could be very, very, very ugly to deal with. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Ranger Suarez, I think, is the safest bet. The guy's been absolute electric, unhittable at portions. Um, and the Phils are just dominating. They're playing good baseball. They're winning games. And in order to get 20 wins, it's not necessarily always your pitching productions, but I mean, you got to get run support. You've got to get good defense. Like things got to fall in place in order for 20 game winning seasons to happen. And I think the Phils could pull that off. KC Lugo scares me a little bit because that division is going to be highly contested. And there's a lot of teams in that division that are very similar and on similar paths. So, I see a couple of games that he may have some no decisions in because of a late rally or something. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see. I'd say Chris Sale and Ranger Suarez are locks. So a good 2 with a possible 5.
Mhm. Yeah. I
And
100%.
none of them pitch for the Houston Astros. Oh, you know what? And while I'm at it, Scooball's got a shot because the guy's good.
He's very good.
But I think again, they're going to end up losing games where maybe he came out at 6 innings and then they lost the game and just a no decision. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I think those two both. I think if there was only going to be one, Ranger seems to be dominating. Um, if if there's going to be two, I think Seth's got it. The issue that Seth's running into right now is the Royals are kind of hitting the dog days, and
mhm.
they are not producing as many runs. And so, yeah, anyways. All right, so let's go off the record, my friend. As of the time of recording, the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Yankees have the best records in baseball. Do we have a shot for a repeat of 2008 World Series?
I mean, much to the disdain of myself, and gosh, I'm going to throw up a little bit when I have to say this. Um, the Yankees are the Yankees are a machine right now, and the Phillies are putting in work. It would not surprise me to see the. I mean, what is that called? It's not the Subway Series, but I mean it's right there. They're neighbors. Um, you know, yeah. But at that point, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not even watching baseball. Sorry. I love baseball, but if that's the options, then yeah, no, I'll go watch Teen Wolf or The Breakfast Club or you know
80s
um
movies. 80s
something.
movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a John Candy movie on somewhere that would give me better entertainment value than the Phillies and the Yankees. Mm.
So I mean, again, of course, the best line in Teen Wolf is when Styles says, "Is surf up?" And he goes, "Surf's up. Surf's definitely up." And he goes, "These waves are mine." And he turns into the wolf. They just yeah, it's great stuff, right?
Yeah, no, 80s movies are where they're at, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Big D, I think that I think we've gone where we need to go today. I mean, next week we'll be quoting 80s movies to you like you wouldn't believe. Yep. I mean, it's just we've nailed it. So why don't you take us home? Why don't you tell us what you want to tell us? Tell us about where people can find Top Fan, what they can find, everything and everything.
Okay, look here. So, I mean, a little self promotion never hurt nobody. All right. I want to take a second and thank each and every one of you who takes time out of their day to listen to me and Bill talk about baseball and who knows whatever. If you're listening to us where you listen to your favorite podcasts, thank you so much. Please continue to do so. But you can also slide over to YouTube and catch this episode. So please hit the subscribe button, share it to your friends. Give us a thumbs up. If there's ever anything you want to hear us talk about, if you don't think we're giving your team enough shine, drop it in the comments, okay? We'll see what we can do. If you want to be a guest on the show, look, we do not discriminate. Put your favorite gear on, come on to Can of Corn, and let's talk some baseball. While you're at it, jump on over to the website, TopFanRivalry.com. Get your locker room access. You can also see this show there along with countless other pieces of content. You're an Astros fan, right? That's why you're here. You're my homie. You got to get with Astros in orbit with my girl Susie Q. All right. So look, that's just one of many, many shows. I got my other show with my boy Mikey Bleeds Blue, the odd couple, a Dodger fan, an Astros fan, duking it out week after week. But the only place you can find that is topfanrivalry.com in the locker room. We mentioned it before. Use the discount code Big Dave. That's right, BIGDAVE. Save yourself 10% across the board. Go to the shop, get you a t-shirt, get you a dugout mug. Look, you can even get baseball cards made of yourself. I mean, who doesn't want a baseball card made of yourself? So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in to Can of Corn. I am Big Dave. That's my buddy Baseball Bill. And we'll do this again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Awesome. See you guys next week.